Wait, no, incorrect. Okay, hello, I'm live. I didn't put my intro on first, but there we go. That's life, I guess. So yeah, this is my immediate reactions to It Takes You Away Doc 2 episode that I just broadcast a couple of hours ago. This is my immediate reaction, having just watched it without any time to really compile any thoughts. So it's gonna be a random stream of consciousness as it is always. Also, I watched The Room for the first time last week. I should probably do a video about that. I have to question how the collective observational abilities of one super advanced multi-millennium, very old super advanced alien, a police officer, and two men took that long to realize the person in front of them was blind. In terms of disabilities and the ability to physically sort of recognize whether or not someone is blind or not, just as someone who knows a couple of blind people, it can be a bit obvious just from body language. I don't know, actually, some people can pass very well, but presumably, I guess if you're in a house you know very well, perhaps you don't. It's not obvious, but I mean, she clearly needed to feel her way around, and that's how it works out. And presumably, she travelled from upstairs to downstairs, having to feel somewhat her way around. I kind of feel you'd know this before then. That was the case. Production design on this episode is very well done. Like, the creature looked very when we first saw the creature, the kind of, I don't know, the way the lighting was, it was very kind of practical, very early 2000s. A bit Lord of the Ringy with kind of the glow and the lighting, and the way it was composited, which I think benefited from the anamorphic kind of filming of the episode, which, I mean, I've not really been a fan of. I think I've said before, I'm not really a fan of Univision creeping in on shows clearly designed for TV in a world where we're still using 16:9 aspect ratios, but I think it benefited somewhat here. It was a fairly simple episode, as it has been this entire sort of series. But again, it doesn't really leave much to unpack. I mean, props for the representation of a disabled character again, I guess, because that's always a good thing. Kind of made me sigh exasperatingly how easy it was to kind of trick the Doctor a couple of times, especially with the knives and the cutting of string. Also, actually, because I was expecting them to make a reference to the Minotaur with a string, but they didn't. But they did make a reference to Zygons. That may be the first actual proper reference to a pre-series 11 Doctor Who monster in this entire series, because Chris Shimble's been very kind of adamant on original concepts rather than referring back to classic Doctor Who episodes. So there is that. I kind of do appreciate the twist, the fact it wasn't a real monster. I didn't actually see that coming until it happened. So props for that. And props, I guess, for not making the actual creature malicious. I mean, this has been a really weird week. Well, not even week, day for me in terms of my depression. And as people know, depression often kind of makes you self-loathe and feel alone and convinced that you've got no friends. And so having on the very same day, I'm very much in that mindset, a monster or creature whose whole thing is I'm alone and I have no one here. Annoyingly hit a bit close to home. Obviously that's not the fault of the creators. They didn't plan their Doctor Who scheduled time with my depressive episodes, but that's how it went, I guess. So I guess I could relate. And I guess, like, it was nice that the Doctor kind of tried to honour their side, even though I guess it did kind of cheapen out the whole idea of were they willing to put themselves in sort of self-imposed imprisonment simply to fulfill a promise. Because I kind of think, but then again, I kind of think the Doctor would, and we kind of needed an out, otherwise there'd be no, well, series finale. I mean, this is not so much a criticism of Doctor Who, but I really wish we stopped this trope of knocking people out with blunt trauma to the head and treating it as if it's okay. I have just recently qualified, or indeed re-qualified as a first aider, but this is my first aider of St. John's Ambulance, which I think has a bit more oomph to it. And I can tell you, blunt force trauma to the head to knock you out isn't a harmless way of knocking someone out. But whatever, that's not a problem with Doctor Who exactly. I really wanted Grace Frog to be a new companion. Imagine just a frog in a TARDIS as a companion. I think that would boost ratings. I think we should have gone for that. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't have the guts to go for that. But whatever. There wasn't really. I mean, this episode started off being very much like a horror genre piece. I mean, the phrase both in the continuity announcer and I think in the episode they even referred to a cabin in the woods, which for me was like, oh, is this like gonna be a horror thing like what was it? What was the ghost episode from Jan Coleman's first in series 7, I think, the ghost episode. What a horror! But actually, it was very sci-fi-ish in the end. Very little horror. Like it neither came across as either listen or I can't remember what the ghost episode's called now. Even though it kind of started off that premise, I was kind of expecting it to be a very jump scary episode, and actually it wasn't. Actually, it turned out there was actually very little in regards to threat value, which I kind of think took away a bit from it. Doctor Who continues to feel very much classic Who-y in its sort of story structure, and going through. I mean, there's nothing more 70s or even indeed early 60s Doctor Who that says that then going through was presumably a studio built cave, having to fight moths and having one companion who's separated and then follows behind and doesn't really understand the danger of the moths, or indeed how to like kind of combat them. It did feel very much like a classic Who episode, which I guess is a good thing. I couldn't really hear clearly what a lot of the alien thing was saying. And I think it's a lot of the explanations were kind of dangly explanations, like there's an alternate dimension that just happens to exist because the universe does this when two things connect to each other, like, I don't know, protective barrier. I feel we underused the kind of concept of a conscious universe, but again, I think it's also kind of been used before in a sense. A lot of House was a conscious universe in a sense, because usually left is kind of destabilized, so maybe we didn't need much kind of examination of that concept. Yeah, I mean, I think this case with a lot of episodes is that because they're very simple, in a bad way, they kind of leave you wanting more, and not like it's very the episodes are complete, they're very self-contained, they complete the plot, they don't really do much in terms of examining the things that they actually tackle as the issue. Like, say what you like about more episodes, but certain episodes did a lot to examine, very thought-provoking plots, either real-based topics or just internally with the episode. Like, I mean, my favorite episodes are the ones which do that. Things like the Zygon inversion, tackled a real-life topic in the form of a Western intervention. Girl Who Waited tackled it was a very character-heavy episode where we tackled sort of making hard decisions, and oh, would I or would I not abandon someone to die to save someone else, things like that. New episodes can be very, very light, very self-contained, and don't seem to really tackle much. But I guess Doctor Who doesn't always have to. I guess this is why it feels more like classic Who, which occasionally, almost, and it definitely did, tackle certain social things like environmentalism and narcissism and fascism and things like that. But because it was just a romp, and this one very much should have been a romp season with very little kind of weight to it. Yeah, I liked Frog Grace. But also, I guess this is why we kind of had the scene where Grace died unceremoniously, so she'd come back for this episode's plot. Though I do maintain her death could have been better well executed. And so it doesn't seem like she climbed up for no reason to poke a big alien thing and fall down and died. She didn't get killed, she fell down because she poked a big ball of electricity and it electrocuted her. That's like me walking up to a toaster about to blow up and be like, I'm going to poke it with a stick, maybe it'll stop. I don't think we're going to see those creatures. I'm trying to work out how 7 grandparents work. Like, these throwaway lines are cool and all, but it bothers those of us who have deep investment in the mythos of Doctor Who, and especially the family structure of Time Lords, which has always been an oft debated topic, especially with the existence of Lungborough as a expanded universe novel. So that's given my head hurt for a while. Yeah, I mean, again, the episode doesn't really tackle very deep topics, and I guess I know kind of used Doctor Who tackling deep topics. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. I just love Grace Frog. Even though it was very random. Like, why would the creature whose whole thing is about trying to make friends and adopting the form which would be the most appealing to the person they're with take the form of a person who the Doctor barely knows, and an animal that is Grace's favourite animal, but not necessarily the Doctor's favourite animal. Also, I like the idea how sheep will gain enough sapience to form a rebellion. That's kind of amusing. Yeah, I think that it's hard to really know because you don't come into these episodes with much kind of expectation, and it doesn't really build any expectation. So you don't like come out feeling like you've missed out but you don't particularly watch it and feel excited afterwards. But I don't know, because a lot of this is to do with pre-existing sort of thoughts about what Doctor Who should be like, but I don't think that's a fair way to judge Doctor Who, because it's a constantly evolving TV show, so I need to judge it how it is now. But is this how classic fans felt when the 2005 series came out? I mean, I always maintain that I'm not a New Who / Classic Who fan, because I like both of them, and I always maintain, and I've never been solely interested in cheap post 2005 episodes, because as soon as I got into Doctor Who, I immediately kind of read as much as I could and watched as much as I could of Classic Who, and I very quickly became kind of versed up on the mythos of old Who, to the point where I don't even really distinguish them story wise. I think my first exposure to Doctor Who was probably a brief glimpse of the Pete Cushing films, and then I read a couple of 8 Doctor Venture novels before I watched Chris Eccleston's first episode. But that's different to watching Doctor Who. And I watched Doctor Who classic episode series for the first time in any sort of meaningful amount when it was being streamed on Twitch. A lot of that was like this isn't, this feels very different, but not necessarily in a good way. A lot of episodes are very, weren't very exciting, and in case you had a very good episode, and then other times you just had episodes just kind of happened. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to really judge this, because I don't want to sound like a person who's like, oh, it's different from my Doctor Who, therefore it's bad, because that's not how it works. But to next week's be the final episode, and I really need to form an opinion. But I mean, I guess I saw a tweet about how Ryan hasn't actually developed a single really much. I mean, we finally got a bit where he calls Graham Grandad, and I'm not entirely sure what happened was enough just to justify what I'm guessing is a character moment for both of them, and a substantial kind of character beat. And I don't really think we kind of deserved that at this point. But at least it wasn't a cliched, oh, he's about to go sacrifice his life for me, better give him the thing he wanted than call him Grandad, which a lot of us predicted. Or, no, I didn't predict, because I kind of think if I predict it happens, I feel a bit responsible. But a bunch of other people predicted online. At least we avoided that. Yeah, I'm exhausted. Again, a lot of the characters just kind of haven't really evolved. I mean, even the Doctor, because each of the individual kind of Doctors had their own character arc. Especially in New Who, perhaps not necessarily in Classic Who. I'm trying to think. I mean, the first Doctor had a character arc. He became much warmer in the same way that Capaldi's Doctor did as well. But perhaps a less drastic character change between their first and second seasons. But I don't. When I think about it, I'm not entirely sure the other Doctors really had anything much going by an arc, because episodes were very self-contained. Then obviously we had New Who, which existed in the post-2000s TV, where arcs were very much a common thing. I think McCoy's Doctor evolved from being slightly more clownish to more sinister, but even then, not as drastically for it to be kind of unknown. And then, yeah, Jodie Whittaker's doing a brilliant job. So yeah, it's very different Doctor Who, and I guess I'm gonna have to really. It just must be what people felt like when who'd watched Classic Who before they watched Eccleston Who. But is it, well, the question is it a good thing that Doctor Who feels more like Classic Who when it's actually now 2018, or should it feel more like it does how modern television actually, like if this is how Doctor Who had aired in 2005, would it have got the resurgence that it had gotten then, or would it have just been like, oh, this is a nice kind of project, but it won't really last, and it won't end up lasting? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. So next week's final episode, I imagine we're going to watch the trailer now, and I'm not really going to have much to unpack, but we will try anyway to do so.
Nine cries for help, all coming. 9 cries for help, all coming from the same planet.
Oh, another cheery one.
Here we go.
Who are you?
Can't remember my name.
Where is the object?
I know that voice.
Interesting. Well, three things of note. It looks very cinematic, which is, I guess, great. It's good to have a visual medium where it's visually appealing. Mark Addy, I love Mark Addy. My exposure of him is purely from Atlantis, though I think I've probably seen bits of the Flintstone sequel where he was playing Flintstone instead of that guy whose name I forget. So I'm looking forward to seeing Mark Addy in Doctor Who. And then that line, I know that voice. And it's like, who could that possibly be? I mean, there's nothing being built up to anyone's. And especially because Shinbo's like, I don't want any old thing to return necessarily in his first series, but so it's going to be a new character we've never seen before, and we're meant to sort of attach an emotional connection to the Doctor, or is it going to be something we've seen before? Hard to say. I don't think it's going to. If it's going to be something we've seen before, I'm not sure it's going to be anyone from between 2005 and 2017 Doctor Who, because I think that will kind of cheapen the effect. So yeah, what do you think, people of Doctor Who so far? How are you feeling going into the final series? This is what, 10 episodes? Rather than normal 12? That seems going a bit quick. But I guess if we went for 2 more weeks, we'd end up at Christmas, which we're not going to have a Doctor Who episode at all. We're going to have to wait a couple of more days for that. Yeah, let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys this time next week.